Hello, everybody. We're here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, where Ohio State has completed their national championship. Ohio State is the national champion. I think about a month ago, after the loss to Michigan, entering the playoff, and there was a lot of ambivalence almost about it, and they ran off 4 wins, beat Notre Dame 34-23 tonight in a game that started well for Notre Dame, a long touchdown drive. Ohio State then scores the next 31 points. Figured this game is over. Nothing comes easy for this team. And Notre Dame came back, made a 1-possession game, and then Ohio State clinched it, won the first national championship in a decade.
This is, I think, as hard won a national championship as any in Ohio State history to get to this point. Required them to win 4 playoff games in succession. 3 of those teams were in the top 5 of the selection committee. Oregon was number 1.
Tennessee was 7.
No, so Oregon was 1. Right. Texas was 3. Notre Dame was 5. They beat 3 of those teams to get here. So in terms of just the level of difficulty, I think to win this title was really impressive to do so in a span of a month. And they were not a perfect team this year. They stubbed their toe in October at Oregon. They lost to Michigan for the 4th straight year in an embarrassing fashion, but they rallied from that point and went on a postseason run as good as any team in the history of the sport.
Yeah, it's funny, the last 2 national championships Ohio State has won in part because, they were made possible because the playoff expanded. There was a 14 playoff in 2014 where Ohio State was the number 14. Ohio State wouldn't have made a 14 playoff this year, but hey, they benefited from the format, and then they took advantage. Look, this was a run, as Joey said, through a gauntlet. I mean, nobody could win a harder national championship than this one, and they did. And at times, for most of the playoff, they were dominating, and then when they weren't, they found a way to close the deal. The defense tonight gave up the long touchdown drive, then didn't give up anything for the next 4 drives as Ohio State built the lead. Then they gave up 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions. They got lucky with a missed field goal. A missed game became a nail-biter after it looked like it was over.
Yeah, it felt like they were going to be able to pull away in the second half, and you started thinking about this game in the context of other college football playoff finals or BCS title games that just went one side and they became blowouts. Notre Dame was in the national championship game 12 years ago against Alabama and was just blown off the field, and it looked like that might happen in this one. But they are a resilient bunch, and Marcus Freeman had them hanging around deep into the 4th quarter. The moment where Ohio State clinched it was 3rd and 11, where they couldn't really do much on offense at that point. It felt like they were just trying to run clock and force Notre Dame to call timeouts. They looked really conservative. Well, Will Howard found Jeremiah Smith for 56 yards for a touchdown to seal the game. So at several moments this year, Jeremiah Smith has been the difference maker, and he was on that play. They go down, Jaden Feely tacks on a field goal. They end up going up by 2 scores, and that sealed it.
Yeah, Ryan Day now joins Woody Hayes and Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer.
Paul Brown.
And Paul Brown being the first, 1942, as the only coaches to win national championships. John Cooper never won one. Earl Bruce never won one. And this team under Ryan Day has come close several times. 2019, of course, lost the heartbreaker to Clemson in the semifinals. Georgia 2 years ago, same thing. The losses to Michigan have ruined it other times. People were starting to wonder, is he ever going to break through? Well, he did. I mean, he's done it all.
And did it later than a lot of other Ohio State coaches did. Jim Tressel had his breakthrough national championship season in year 2. Urban Meyer did it in year 3. This is year 6 for Ryan Day. People wondered if not now, when? And it happened now. This is, I think, huge for his legacy. He's now a national championship winning Ohio State coach, matches the same number of titles won by Tressel and Meyer. So he is in, I think, rare company for head coaches at this school.
And the pressure on this team in particular was immense because these guys came back. So many of the seniors came back for this. They got Will Howard, Caleb Downs, Seth McLaughlin, Clinching Judkins out of the transfer portal. Much was made of the $20 million figure that Ross Bjork, the athletic director, threw out there. Money doesn't guarantee anything. Well, it doesn't. And they, after the Michigan game, the lowest of lows, when it seemed like most of the fan base had turned against Day and the team, particularly Day, for them to regroup and do what they did in this playoff, boy, that's a hell of a story.
Yeah, really a storybook finish. This
What are you saying, Joey?
I mean, they came back. This was a game, I think, too. So much, even in the game, they had overcome several moments where Notre Dame has that opening touchdown drive, which was ideal for them. It took almost 10 minutes of game clock, and then Notre Dame comes back and makes a push late in the game, and they had to dig deep and show some resolve. Again, I mean, really, both the semifinal and final game required some type of gut check moment. Oregon and Tennessee were runaway wins, but in these later rounds, that they really had to prevail and pull through late in games.
Yeah, and think about Will Howard. He comes here after a good career at Kansas State, up and down career, but a solid career. And when he came, a lot of people questioned whether he was good enough to lead Ohio State to a national championship. Yes, he was, solid, good leader, could run, but could he throw deep? Was he good enough? I mean, he's not a first-round draft talent. Was he good enough? Well, he answered it tonight, not just with his arm, but with his legs. A lot of clutch third down conversions with his running, and then the pass to Jeremiah Smith. That's a ballsy call and well executed. That was the game. Once that happened, Jaden Fielding had to make the field goal, which he did, but 2 possession game, it's over.
It almost could have gone for a score, really. If
it was close.
Yeah, but at that point, even completing the pass, even if you hadn't made the field goal, you pushed
30
the game,
seconds to go.
You pushed the game on their side of the field, because if they were in a situation where they had a punt from their own 30, Notre Dame would have gotten the ball back not too far from midfield.
Right.
It just felt like in that moment things were starting to really go in not a good direction for Ohio State.
So this team did what it came back to do. Denzel Burke famously said in March, natty or bust. And everyone, nobody came down on him. Everyone's like, yep, that's what it is. And give this team credit. When they could have packed it in, and a lot of those guys can say, well, okay, it's off to the NFL, basically, after the Michigan game, especially when everything just looked bleak. They regrouped and put together a playoff run that they'll talk about for a long time.
First ever team to win the 14 playoff, first team ever to win the 12-team playoff. Expansion has been good to Ohio State's national championship aspirations.
Right. So.
And in both formats, they would not have made the actual bracket without expansion.
Right. So, anyway, thank you for following along all year. We appreciate that very much. Again, Ohio State 34, Notre Dame 23. Ohio State is your national champion.